Howdy, I'm Matt, and in this episode we have the Maiden of the G-Blink. Now this very little cute model here I bought in the United Kingdom for £46 delivered, and I've been building it over the last couple of days, and I took it over to the slope, which is a slope called Maiden, just on the outskirts of Bristol, and you can see what an absolutely stunning day it is, and that day turned into the best wind conditions I have ever seen on that slope in my entire life. Now, you notice that there's me chatting in the background about us to put us over there on the side so you can see the Maiden. The thing is, it was so ridiculously windy, is that there was so much wind noise, I'm doing a voiceover. So we're going to plonk the camera over on the side. Now, while I'm doing that, and we go through one or two felled Maidens, I'm going to chuck up the website of where I bought this from. So this is a chap called Shane. And it's called the G-Blink, which is the model, and it is literally just the basic kit, a plywood stroke balsa frame, and there are some instructions on there which were, well, I built it, so it can't be that hard, can it? And I genuinely really did enjoy it. Now, this chap also does make a powered version as well. There is a larger 900mm version, and I know he's working on this one as well, which isn't, I've already been and pre-ordered it. Because I knew it was going to be really cool, because I knew I'd heard really good things about the G-Blink. So I've already been and pre-ordered that one as well, and I genuinely cannot wait to build these, which I know for many of you will be a massive surprise, because I'm not really into balsa at all. But I must admit, hands up, I have genuinely really enjoyed the build of this one, and I will do an overview video to it very, very shortly. Anyway, let's get back to the slope, because it's Maiden time. And we're going to have a go at chucking it in the sky. So I'm going to put a little bit of music on here in the background. I'll see if I can find something which is YouTube safe. And we'll get it into the sky. Now, you will notice, by the way, things don't exactly go to plan. And I did learn an awful lot about the flight while I was there. So there's me just checking on the camera. Yeah, the camera is still there, Matty. And we're going to chuck it and see what happens. And actually, I've probably put some music on the background, but I'm going to carry on chatting anyway. So you noticed I've got the wing on top of my head, and that like threw me off a bit. It was like, why did that dive straight towards the floor? Now I think it takes me another 2 attempts to realise that I really need to stick a load of extra. So I've made no changes to it and go for it. And you'll see it did take quite a bit of a whack into the ground then. And I took a look at it, and it was absolutely fine. So that was confidence inspiring, because it is really literally a plywood and thingy model. So I've been to put some up trim in it now, and we'll see if we can get it away, and we do. And I think from the second I got it away and the amount of trim which I realised I need to put in there, I really just kind of fell in love with the little thing. It's absolutely schizo on the slope. And now it did take quite a bit of trim, and you will notice that I turned in towards the slope then, which is not something you would normally do with a model you don't have any confidence in. So if those of you which don't know about this, is that when you're flying, when you're slope soaring, all the lift, the wind's coming up at the hill in front of you, and then providing all the lift. Now, generally speaking, you would turn away from the slope. So if you're coming from right to left, you've got the model coming across in front of you, and then you would turn right and come away from the slope and go back out. Now, that very first turn, I'd already worked out what trim I needed to put in there, and you'll see I'm having an absolute whale of a time, and I've even gone and stuffed it because I'm trying to get it in close to myself, and it was like, oh, whatever, and then we're just going to chuck it again, and it was really, really easy to launch, and and then, as you can tell, I'm leaving these stutters and stuff in, is that I genuinely did enjoy it, and I just carried on flying it for the rest of the day. And what I'm going to do at the end of this video, I did get Andrew to do some fly it for me, and I recorded some video footage off the phone as well, and you will see how nimble this thing is in the sky. And that's the thing, I was genuinely, for something which weighs, I think they state about 150 grams or so, I don't know the weight on mine at all, we'll say 250 grams, okay, something which weighs a gnat's fart, in short, penetrates the wind without issue at all. And I was genuinely surprised by that. I thought it was going to be too windy and it was going to get thrown back in my face. But that wasn't the issue at all. It was just an absolute dream. The only negative which I can say about this model is that because it doesn't have much gravity in it, then the loops in it are not very good. Now, that's not necessarily entirely the model's fault. It just doesn't have a lot of weight in it. So being able to nose bomb towards the ground to get loads of speed up and then bring it back around, it kind of just like flops over, okay? And even Andrew noticed that as well with the rolls. But that, to be fair, is something which doesn't weigh anything. There isn't any weight in it at all. In fact, as I later on, I worked out that the CG was wrong, and I had it far too nose heavy. Is that it got even lighter as the day progressed, so it struggled even worse with them. So you can do loops with it, but just remember, it's such a very, very light model. The second you bring that nose up, and if the wind's really strong, it's going to get blown straight back at you. And it's going to take a while to get over, and when it does, it's probably just going to flop over, to be brutally honest. That said, it rolls like an absolute bloody drill. One thing which I did modify mine with is that I only set mine up with Depron hinges, and I have gone on and modified mine and put proper plastic hinges in there, so that we do have a more uniform movement of the surfaces. Perhaps that's one thing which would be nice to have been included in the kit, to be brutally honest. But as much as and by the way, the laminate and the other bits and like pushrods and things like that are not included in the kit itself. It's literally just the wooden components which are included. And I did actually end up using the belt sander as well. I'll cover those things off in a build video very, very shortly. Anyway, with that said, let's get back on the ground. There's a few comments which I want to include from myself when I was on the flight line. And also, I want to get that flight footage up from Andy flying the model as well, because then we will see how nimble it was on the day. Let's go get it. Okay, a couple of quick observations is number one, this is definitely nose heavy. That wasn't by design. I did follow the third 1, 2, 3 rib back for the center of gravity, and you will notice that I have ended up with quite a lot of up trim in there. So I think there's definitely some work I can do around about the extra lead which I put in the nose to balance it. I must admit, I did get disorientated 3 times in the sky, and that's down not to the size of the model, it's because it's transparent. It looks the same from both sides up, and I did get myself a little bit confused. Yeah, I want to say 3 times I lost orientation for it. Besides that, rolls like an absolute drill, that's for sure. And today it's a little bit blustery, as in the wind's not consistent, and it did absolutely fine, and it's a complete handful. I didn't have the balls, or I was going to say I didn't have the balls to fly in high rates, but that entire flight was in the high rates, which is why it was probably a little bit skittish, but really, really enjoyable, and I cannot wait to carry on and fly this one a little bit more up here this afternoon. So yeah, definitely a bit of wind noise on the camera. That's because we're on a slope flying the little G-Blink. Genuinely have enjoyed building this one. Oh, and there's a bigger version of this, and there's also a flying wing one as well, which is coming out shortly by the chap called Shane, I think his name is, and I'm really looking forward to building that one. In fact, I've already been and pre-ordered it, so I can't wait for it to come out. So that's the G-Blink. Any questions, let me know. Oh, and I know someone's going to ask me, can you do a powered version? Yes, absolutely. There is a powered version for this, which you don't fill up the nose on the front. You can put a motor in there, and you mount the servos further back here, which would actually be a much better idea than including them up here in the nose, frankly speaking. But because it's a glider, you want to try and keep as much weight towards the nose as possible. So there you go. Questions or comments, let me know in the video description. From myself, Matt, cheerios! So we're over on the slope now, and I've been and given Andrew Horseman the controls for the model itself so that I could get this flight footage. Now, I literally just did grab the phone. I didn't think the GoPro was going to be close enough, if that makes sense, so it's phone footage. But it will give you a very, very good idea of what this model is like in the sky. and you'll be able to get an idea of how much wind is coming up that slope. And as I was saying previously, I was genuinely impressed on how well it did penetrate the wind. And the only characteristic which I could pick up and Andrew picked up was that it didn't like to roll very well. You'll see that in the footage itself. Sorry, not roll, loop very well, which, remember, like I said earlier, is to be expected. It is extremely light, but it is penetrating the wind, which is quite positive. And Andrew does also spot that it will roll faster one direction than the other, and that's why I changed the hinges over from being just Blendum tape hinges to proper little plastic hinges in there, so it now uniformly moves on both sides. So I hope I've been and sorted that out as well. Oh, and also as I mentioned as I was wrapping up on the slope with that bit of video just a few moments ago, I did go on and take some more lead out of the nose and really tune it in on the day. And I think there was 3 little lumps of little bits of lead in the nose, so I hit the centre of gravity, and I took 2 of them out. So I took quite a lot of lead out of the model, and it's quite far forwards of what the centre of gravity was told to be, and what it worked out for me specifically was an awful lot further back, if that makes any sense. Anyway, that's enough chit chat. This is the G-Blink. I spent 46 quid on it, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's a wooden model. I think it's I was given or gifted 2 other wooden Balsa models a while ago. One of them has flown, whether it will fly again anytime shortly, don't know. But this one, absolutely brilliant fun, as you can see here in the background. So I'm going to leave the music running, enjoy the footage. Oh, and of course I'll include a link to Andrew's YouTube channel in the video description, because he's an absolute Slopesoaring nut, as you will find out if you go and take a few moments to go and check out his YouTube channel. Anyway, from myself, Matt, thank you for taking the time to join me here at the workbench, or joining me and Andrew and the G-Blink over on the slope. And as you can see, I'm here looking at the video footage here in the background, and it's having an absolute stonking time. And that's why I grabbed the phone, because I wanted to share that footage with you. By the way, I will include a link to the G-Blink in the video description. It's not an affiliate link. The chap's based in the UK. Actually, I think at the moment this video goes out, he's on holiday, so don't panic if you were to buy one. It doesn't turn up immediately. I think mine there was a delay on it, and I was told like it was going to turn up in a week or so. It turned up in 3 days, so it is what it is. And yeah, I genuinely just enjoyed it. That's why I'm making this video. I have enjoyed the little G-Blink, and if you're into slope soaring, or if you fancied a powered version, you can make a powered version. But just be aware, it is made of very thin plywood, and you do have to build it, and it's not just I don't know, as OHD dart which you just get out of the box, stick your kit in it, and off you go. It's not one of those models at all. And frankly, I've really enjoyed the whole building experience. And I do have the plywood wing version, which the chap's got coming out on pre-order as well, and I'm genuinely really looking forward to building that one as well, because it was a nice experience. Anyway, I've talked too much. For myself, Matt, big thank you to you for taking the time to join me here at the workbench, and I'll catch you again shortly. For myself, Matt, cheerios. Oh, and like I said, I will do a build review to it, so because a couple of people did comment about laminating it, and it was the most piss-easiest model I have ever laminated, ever. It was so easy to laminate, but although it looks really complicated, work that one out. Hey ho. Anyway, for myself, Matt, cheerios.